It's Sunday and the 13th of June, and with my Sega Dreamcast review and Sega Dreamcast accessory collection videos behind us, it's now time for an accessory review. It's the halfway point of my 5 videos dedicated to the Dreamcast, as this is video games and consoles from the loft. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my 7th instalment of Season 4 of Video Games and Consoles from the Loft, and of course my 3rd instalment dedicated to the Dreamcast. And just of late I've been having more fun than ever video gaming, as I've practically been living and breathing with the Dreamcast, and it's been a lot of fun, and I've been really looking forward to posting my next featured item within this series, and it's none other than the Dreamcast's fishing controller. So without any further delay, let's go fishing. Well, if you managed to check out my Sega Dreamcast accessory collection video out, you would have already noticed that Sega's efforts to keep us gamers entertained and hooked with the Sega Dreamcast were second to none, and they produced some extremely quirky items, and items that were in some cases well ahead of their time, and Sega's fishing controller is just one of those, as this great and creative controller brings you close to real life fishing, or as the Dreamcast slogan says on the back of the box, it's as close as you can get to the real thing without getting wet. The fishing controller works mainly by using motion sensors which are built into the top of the controller and works similar to a Wii remote, allowing you, the user, to physically cast your rod as if you were casting by a pond, and every movement that you make is mirrored within the game. The controller also comes complete with a vibration module, allowing you to feel each nibble at your bait and as you try and fight to land your fish as well. And of course, the most intriguing and familiar part of any fishing rod would have to be the reel, and the Dreamcast True Action Reel is really responsive and actually gives you an amazing experience, as if you physically brought home that fish to the keep net. The fishing controller was only ever supported for several fishing titles released on the Dreamcast. However, these games really showed off the Dreamcast's full capability of graphics and gave us an all-round brilliant experience. But before we check out some gameplay, let's have a closer look. Well, I really enjoy seeing the fishing controller box, as it looks extremely appealing and gives the fishing controller a funky look. On the back of the box there is a diagram of the controller and key info on each area of the controller, which is extremely detailed. Within the box you receive a manual which is fairly standard and offers a light insight into the controller regarding the controls, and of course there are plenty of warnings. And the final item within the box is the controller itself, which is fairly large and also has a fair bit of weight to it as well. And the controller is also fairly long, which allows you to gather a comfy grip on it and be able to easily manoeuvre the reel. At the top of the controller there is also a motion sensor built in, allowing every movement to be recorded, a start button for selecting menus, and 4 other helpful buttons, A, B, X and Y, which aren't always used but will come in handy, and an analog stick for ultimate control within the game. Underneath there is also a hook which allows you to rest your index finger so you can firmly hold the controller, and finally the most important item is the reel, which is perfect for reeling in those fish. Well, welcome to the Sega Dreamcast game of Sega Bass Fishing, and of course which is combined with the Sega Fishing Controller. The game allows you to sit back and relax and just fish, or compete to become a world-class champion angler. You can also select the different areas to cast and fish from, and select the different lure difficulties from easy to normal and difficult, and try and attract those different sizes of fish. And then you can select your target, cast away and sit back and reel your lure in and wait to snag a fish on the end of your line. Once the bass bites the lure, you can pull your controller upwards, and if you're successful hooking on a bass, you can start the landing process and start reeling in your bass, and of course paying attention to the line tension gauge on the right of the screen, as if you reel too hard your line will break and you will lose your bass. There are also other handy indicators which will pop up on the screen, which you can follow also to help land your fish even safer. After successfully landing your bass, it will be weighed and ranked, or if you're playing in the arcade mode, you'll be given additional time. I've only touched the surface of using the fishing controller in this game for you, but I really can't recommend this combination enough. Well, if fishing is your thing, or if you just fancy checking out an extremely quirky way to play a game, then this is definitely worth a punt, and I'm pretty sure that you won't be disappointed. And yes, it may be a little dated, but at the time this was right up there with some of the most innovative ideas for gaming. And the games aren't half bad to go along with it either, as you saw me playing Sega Bass Fishing, which is a game which will challenge your angling skills and will test to see whether you've got what it takes to become an angling champion. This will definitely never ever be forgotten. So if you fancy picking up a fishing controller, well, there are lots and lots available on eBay across the world and at various prices, which range from $10 to $40 in America and about $13 to about £60 here in the UK, as some people ask quite a bit with these, especially if they're boxed. But I managed to pick mine up for £20 here in the UK, which I thought was a pretty good price. And there are also various other Dreamcast fishing controllers lurking out about there as well from third parties, but personally try to get yourself an official controller, or better still, there is even a limited edition Japanese fishing controller lurking out about there somewhere as well, and I wish you happy hunting and good luck with that as well. Well, once again, we're at the end of yet another episode, but before I go, I'd just like to say that we have 2 more Dreamcast accessory reviews to go through, and they will feature on the next 2 following Sundays, and both of those items will feature alongside the Japanese Dreamcast. And then following on from both of those, I have a 1-year special planned, as it will be the first birthday of video games and consoles from the loft, and I hope that you'll join me for that too. Well, that's just about it from me. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, have a great week, and I'll see you soon.